Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Let's share with you the newspaper front pages and what they're saying. We're starting off with our first paper this morning. That's the Daily Independent. And on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper, we're seeing that the big story says Labour shelves strike for 30 days after compromise with federal government. Like I said, are you shocked?
Absolutely not.
Of course not. We are waiting for them to shove off the strike as expected. It's very interesting there. London court grants Diezani Alison Madueke £70,000 bail. EFCC begins extradition proceedings against former minister. 100 members died over 4 months on paid salaries. SSANU, that's sad. Calls for implementation of over 25% salary increment. Previous gubernatorial elections, tribunal dismisses Tonya Cole, Labour Party, APM petitions against Fubara. Tinubu Northern governors mourn emeritus Professor Umar Shehu. Drop in oil and non-oil earnings worsens FX volatility, according to the CBN. I was instrumental to Tinubu's victory at the polls, says the Emir of Daura. What Nigeria needs now is war on insecurity and economy, according to the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi. Closed banks. NDIC begins payment of 16.18 billion naira liquidation dividends to depositors. These are some of the stories there. Oh, there's another one here. Police investigate Ebonyi armed attack on buses and motorcycles. And then there's a picture there. Holiday makers having fun at a swimming pool during the Nigeria 63rd Independence Anniversary Fiesta held at the Airport Hotel in Ikeja, Lagos. So at the end of the day, as much as the independence was not independencing for a number of people, some still went and had a good time at the pool, and I'm happy for them. At least there was something to be excited about. But yeah, these are the stories this morning on the Daily Independent.
Yeah, some people just wouldn't, waste a good holiday. All right, moving away from Daily Independent, let's go to the Daily Trust newspapers this morning. I think we probably should also speak a little bit about one of the things. I'm going to go back to the Daily Independent just very briefly. It says here, Labour shelves strike for 30 days after compromise with the federal government. And, why this is important is because, like we had said, in the build-up to today, that a lot of people didn't expect anything to come out of the labor, strike and the threats of going on a strike. We've also said it, the few times that we've interviewed people of spokespersons of the Nigerian Labour Congress or representatives of the Nigerian Labour Congress, we've often said the same thing, that Joe Ajero and Felix Osifo, who head these two organizations, currently have a lot of work on their hands to change the image, that Nigerians have of these two bodies, the NLC and the TUC, because in the last decade or more, these two bodies arguably have not really been able to achieve anything to improve on the lives of Nigerians. It's not their responsibility, but it's their responsibility to at least share the displeasure that Nigerians have, Nigerian workers have, Nigeria's labor force has, with government policies and the standard of living of the average Nigerian. And so every single time that you threaten to protest or threaten to go on strike, and eventually a day before the strike,
you call off the strike. Of course,
you call it off. At some point, everyone is going to let go and say you're wasting our time. None of the agreements. If you look carefully, not one time has there been any tangible agreement that you can point to and say this is what the NLC and the federal government agreed upon. This is what the NLC and the Minister of Labour agreed upon, and it is beneficial for Nigerians, and it has actually been put to work, and it's it has changed what the lifestyle and the standard of living of the average Nigerian. Not salary increment, not in any way an improved standard of living for the average Nigerian, not a reduction in the cost of living for the average Nigerian. There's never been one time when they say, oh, they signed an agreement. Except I'm wrong, but I would like to see a time when they signed an agreement that said petrol price is going to come down, or the cost of living, or somehow, somewhere is going to reduce, and the federal government actually implemented it. Or they're going to increase, the standard of living, increase salaries, and the federal government actually implemented after signing those agreements. I don't remember any time. And so the NLC and the TUC would continue to do these things and continue to lose the trust of the average Nigerian. Well, all right. Now let's move to Daily Trust this morning. Yes, it's the big one. Their Labour suspends planned strike for 30 days. It says the organized Labour suspended its planned indefinite strike over the nationwide hardship for 30 days. Labour had earlier directed its affiliate member unions across the country to mobilize and shut down the country beginning from today. Gunshots as IPOB unleashes terror in Simon Ekpa's hometown. Tinubu, Buhari, others mourn Emeritus Professor Umar Shehu. Non-interest banking, that's ad, I think. Article mom as Chicago Varsity releases Tinubu's records, authenticates certificate. Once again, the Nigerian, print media, I'm not sure what's going on over there, but it seems to be there's some disparity between what they're reporting and what else is being spoken about on social media.
That's why they're calling some of them brown envelope people.
Well.
I mean, but that's not.
All right. Yeah. Many fear dead in Rivers oil explosion. Diziani appears in UK court as EFCC begins extradition process. ISWAP kills 2, abducts 2 monarchs and others in Borno State. Those are the big stories on the Daily Trust newspapers.
All right, the next paper this morning is the News Direct newspaper. And on the front page of the News Direct, the big story there says Labour suspends planned strike for 1 month. That's the story that we took a few minutes ago. There's also the story of NDIC says NDIC commences payment of 16.18 billion dividends to stakeholders of 20 banks in liquidation. DMO opens offer for FGN savings bonds with up to 12% interest. Tribunal declares Ombugadu as Nasarawa governor, sacks Suli. Makinde eyes repositioning of oil mining company to boost state's economy. September, equities market drops by 91.3 billion naira. Manufacturers applaud federal government's decision to waive VAT on diesel. Federal government targets 22% telecoms contribution to GDP by 2027. UK court grants Diziani £70,000 bail as EFCC commences extradition proceedings. That's what we have on Nigerian News Direct. Let's head over to the Vanguard.
All right, on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, it's our last paper. It says federal government, Labour reach truce, nationwide strike suspended. Organized Labour suspends nationwide strike bill to start today for 1 month. Labour and federal government signed MOU on issues agreed on. Provisional 35,000 naira wage award for workers secured. And this is not, to belittle, the fact that they even, try, and make all these attempts. It's fine that they do. But of course, I would always question, and not just myself, a lot of people always question what exactly they achieve by these things. And, in what ways have they spoken up for the Nigerian people? The 35,000 naira minimum, wage increase that we're talking about, according to what the report said, it's not for every single Nigerian worker. It's for a special, specific demographic of workers, the largely underpaid ones. And at the same time, what exactly is 35,000 naira increment going to do for anybody? Thirdly, it's not a permanent 35,000 naira increment, by the way. It is only for 6 months. So what exactly, is in that they, are happy or that they agreed upon? All right, also on the Vanguard this morning, just before we wrap up, Tribunal sacks Nasarawa governor in split decision. 35 persons burned to death in Rivers illegal oil refining site. I think that's all we can share this morning on the Vanguard newspapers and all we have time for in the papers.